Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, June 12th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, apologies. I was a little late getting ready this morning. Market opened without me. Okay, so what we got in the overnight was rotation. It was balance. That's actually a somewhat bullish thing to see because they accepted these higher prices, right? We left a lot of opportunity to pull back. We got all these single prints from the A period, which are excess. And then we got the gap as well that we left behind on Friday. So that's some excess that the overnight market could have pulled back to repair. But it just came down to the very first distribution. So Friday was a triple distribution day. And so it came, actually, it was a quadruple distribution day. So it came down, it repaired that that last little set of single prints in there in the overnight. Now, we don't count that as repaired for the regular trading hours, but in terms of their psychology, they came in, they repaired that, pulled right back up there to the POC. That lines up perfectly with Friday. So that's a sign of acceptance of Friday's higher prices, okay? So we opened inside of yesterday's range. Opening inside the previous day's range increases the odds that the market's just going to chop first thing in the morning here. And that's, of course, what we're seeing. Also, overnight inventory was more net long than short, so we would expect to see a little bit of a counter auction to the downside, which we also did see. Okay, this weak J-Lo from Friday is not repaired just yet. We have to get 2 ticks below it to repair it. So essentially, the way I'm looking at the market this morning, I'm looking at it like we broke out of balance on Friday, okay? Let me just zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so this was our balancing area over here on Friday. Okay, so this was the breakout of the balance. So now what we're looking for is for the market to pull back down and then find support around these levels. Although it might not perfectly line up, what you may get, because of these weak references, you may get the market that pulls down into here and does a little bit of trading inside of that previous balancing area. But if it just does a bit of trading and then it pushes right back up above, that's extremely bullish, okay? It's only if it pulls down into yesterday's range and then stays down here that it starts to get bearish. Even if that happens and it gets bearish, I think the lowest end target is going to be the gap fill down here at 4322. Okay. But to me, that seems less likely. I think we're going to get, we balanced in here. I think this should have been, we spent enough time at these prices, so we should find support around the upper end of that range and trade either rotational today, spending more time accepting this excess, or push higher, okay? So my bias is sort of neutral to bullish. Okay, internals opening a little bit bearish, but more neutral. Also, it's worth noting if the market doesn't come down to repair all these weak references, that is actually a sign of strength. It would be healthier for the market to come down here and repair these first, and then work its way higher. You know, even if it can get all the way down to the base of these single prints first and then rotate up, that would be a much stronger market for continuation higher. But on the short term today, if they don't even come down here to test any of these and they immediately start to break out above yesterday's high, that would be bullish. So what we'd be looking for on the breakout here is, this is yesterday's high, market pushes above it, comes back down, finds support. That's a good long trade for continuation to the upside. jump over and take a quick look at the NQ. Okay, NQ's overnight a little bit more bullish than the ES. They explored a little higher prices. Looks like you had opened with a gap. That gap is now filled. So look for support in this node of volume from yesterday. Anywhere from 14,802 to like 14,817 in this area. Got good taper on the high here. Doesn't mean that's the high of the day, but just that it's got good taper for now. All right, guys. Good morning, Arcaleon. Good to see you. JL99, welcome. Philip is here. Good morning to you. Jose, good to see you. Marco, welcome. Philip, good to see you. Nirmal is here. Welcome. Rad is here. Good to see you. Naif, good morning. Arthur is here. Marco, wake up. I was up. I just wasn't quite at the screen yet. Phoenix, good morning to you. K. Rody, good morning to you. Algo Lover is with us. Good to see you. Mizu, good to see you as well. Philip, good morning. Kim is here. Good to see you. Donkey, rotational all day. Or rotational all week. No, probably not. You know, balance leads to excess. We had that balance last week. Let's see if they can get them some excess over the next few days here. Nick, good morning to you. SHK, 230, good morning to you. Good to see you. And Pavel, good morning to you. All right, well, the market's got to do some chop here this morning. So once again, to the downside, look for the repair of these weak references. If the market finds support, it's a good long trade. Also, if the market breaks out above the high, pulls back down and finds support there, it's a good long trade. As far as what would get me short in this market, I would say if we repair the B period single print, so that means just get down to this price, and then we don't find support here right around the overnight low, I'd be looking to short down to fill the gap at 43.22. Of course, first we'd have to break through all this resistance. I assume these are going to become support. Okay, as the NQ kind of works its way down to that 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles, we can look for support right there. Right now, ES just feels like it's doing its little morning chop thing, trying to pick which direction it wants to go this morning. Internals are still mixed. Also, it's worth noting that this A period low, because it is weak, as it is one tick from this weak reference left behind from yesterday, makes this a poor low for the day. So oftentimes the market pushes away from a poor low, but then it always comes back, almost always comes back to repair it at some point. So keep that in mind. For those of you that are just joining us here today, what we're basically looking for, the market is currently accepting the push higher that we had on Friday. So we had all this excess below us, push the market up out of a previous balancing area. And so far, the market is just showing acceptance of these higher prices. So there's two scenarios that I'm watching for right now. One is the market gets above yesterday's high, okay, pulls back down and finds some support there, in which case it's a long trade for continuation to the upside. The alternative is the market works its way back down, repairs some of these weak references, and then I look for support there. So if you're wondering what that would look like, it would be literally what happened here the first time. The market came down to this level and found support one tick below it. So that wasn't a repair. So I wouldn't have jumped into the trade there just yet, but this is what it would look like. You know, it would repair and then it would just push back up. So that doesn't mean it's going to keep going forever, but that's the trade, is on the repair, how much higher can it push? Monitor for continuation. Okay, so I'm watching for that again to the downside. When it comes back down here and repairs this poor low, does it find support for another push up? If it does, I go long. If not, I wait for it to pull back down to the next reference. Does it find support there? If not, the next. And then this one's the final reference, where if it cannot find support at the base of the B period single prints, that's where I would go short for a gap fill down to 43.22. Okay. But as long as it's just grinding around in this range, I just wait and watch. All right, so we just broke above that high, but we created a little poor high because we immediately printed the B period and then got only one tick of excess above that A period high. So that weak B period high, because it is the high of the day, makes it a poor high. So expect a push away from the poor high. If it immediately comes back and repairs it, that is bullish for further upside continuation. Still want to see them bring in some volume up here above yesterday's high before I'm ready to go long. But one time framing is a bullish signal. So if we get one more tick of excess to the upside, we will be one time framing higher. Value is also now overlapping to higher, which is a neutral to bullish signal. So that is also good to see. Yeah, the candles over here on the right are 15-minute candles. And I have the SPX and the NDX in there. All right. Well, there is the repair of the poor high. We are now one time framing higher. So as soon as we start to bring in some volume here, we'll be ready to start trending higher. If we can't bring any volume up here at the highs, then the market's likely to pull back down in, into yesterday's range. Okay, so Marco's question: with a poor high and a poor low, does that mean shorty are in charge? Right? No, not at all. A poor high and a poor low at the same time is just a sign of uncertainty, right? So remember, there's three sort of. Um, okay, so now we're bringing in volume up above yesterday's high. That's a good sign. That's bullish. The buyers are stepping in here at higher prices. Okay. Looks like the NQ failed on its 20, pushed right through that, so that's a bit bearish there. Um, but yeah, so when you have a poor high and a poor low at the same time, it's just a sign that the market doesn't know yet, right? Sometimes the market is bullish and there's more people leaning towards the market going long. Sometimes the market is bearish and there's more people leaning towards it going down. But a lot of the time, most of the time, in fact, especially on a morning like this where you open inside the previous day's range, honestly, half the market thinks one thing and the other half thinks the other. And they just don't know which way it's going to go yet. The term that we use for that is leadership, right? There's no leadership in the market if you've got a poor high and a poor low at the same time. So somebody must take charge. We now see who did. The bulls took charge. They broke the poor high first before the poor low, and then they brought in volume above yesterday's high to indicate support. So now the bulls are in charge and the market is bullish. Does that make sense? Mizu on the question of the gap. The gap is from 43.22. That's where it's filled. And then the high of the gap is 43.28. So between this area. Okay. But wouldn't worry about that now. Remember, the short-term momentum traders have been in charge of this market. So when we start getting back to all-time highs and we start pushing higher on weak references once again, what do we assume? That it's the same thing we've been seeing over the last few weeks. It's just short-term traders getting in here as long as they can. So I'm going to just trust that that momentum will continue, and I'm going to position myself for that. All right, so the NQ is pulling back a bit here, but I will say it's building volume above that node of volume I was looking for support from yesterday. So you can see the market pulled right down just to the very base of that node, and now it's building volume above it. So it's not bullish or bearish, it's just sort of a neutral sign that the market may not need to sell off much further than this. It's also worth noting that the value is overlapping to higher here still, but you are one time framing lower. Okay. So I'm monitoring this 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. Can that hold as support? ES still trying to push higher. So once again, whenever you push higher, build a new node of volume, push higher again, build a new node of volume. You're just setting yourself up to continue that process. Okay. Mizu, anything educational I read this weekend? Nope, sorry. I was doing other stuff this weekend. Yeah, Kim, there's definitely something to that. They love doing that. Push a bunch of money into one indice over a day or two, then flop it back to the other, rotate it on around, scooping up all the short-term traders' cash along the way. All right, so it's, I think, safe now to trust that this is a trend that's building higher. So we'll look for the classic things that show us that trend is coming to an end in the internals. So the ticks breaking an uptrend, which actually kind of looks like they're almost going to do right now. But yeah, if the ticks can start to form a trend higher, that would be bullish, and then the break of that trend would mean the trend is higher. Oh my God. Pause, rewind. If the break of the trend higher on the ticks happens, it's a sign that the trend in the regular market is coming to an end. Yikes. Peter, it's a 20 moving average. It's a simple moving average, and it's a 20 on the 15-minute candles. Also, it's worth noting it's only calculating with the regular trading hours. That's why I use the SPX as opposed to the futures, so that it does not include that overnight trade. This is not a squeeze. A squeeze, you would know it was a squeeze because of the tempo. You'd have thin volume, and the tempo would be very, very quick. This sort of grinding push higher, where we're building up volume beneath us. So it's like the market pushes a little bit up, then it pulls back down into this node, grinds around, pushes up again, comes back down, grinds around, pushes up again. That's a sign of buyers stepping in. Liquidation happens very quickly. It's something that happens, short covering, is something that happens as a result of emotion. So it happens very quickly, very thin volume. So putting in this big red chunk of volume right here, that's a sign that this isn't shorts covering, that this is new money buying, new people choosing to go long here. All right, guys. Well, with the printing of the C period, we've left some single prints behind here in the B period. Those are likely to get backfilled at some point today. Keep in mind when it does, the base of those single prints is right around the high from yesterday. So that's a great place for the market to find support when it pulls back down to backfill those. Otherwise, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the public YouTube. Happy Monday to you. I appreciate y'all coming along for the ride. As always, there's a link in the description. It costs $10 a month to join the Brigade, and then you can stick with me for the rest of the day. If not, I look forward to seeing you all here tomorrow morning. Members of the Brigade, give me about 5 minutes, and then I shall see you on that stream. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.